This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. How you feeling, man? You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. How's things going on your end?
All good, baby. Crypto bags are growing every single day. They're getting fatter than Fat Albert. So I'm all good, baby. I'm all good. 2024 is going to be a golden year, man. So my life is good. I wish the Dolphins were as successful as my crypto bags. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
it's been ugly. It's been ugly. The professionalism of Emmanuel Ogaba and the prorated production, off the charts, just absolutely amazing. I know he put the little emojis out last week because he was surprised he was inactive. I don't blame him for that. That wasn't anything disruptive or anything. It's just nothing, and he's been great overall. He could have complained and pointed fingers and all that. He's going to have a marvelous time in free agency. He has handled adversity better than most human beings handle adversity.
Yeah, it's got to be I've talked to Emmanuel Ogaba a decent amount, and I will say this, it's a difficult challenge when you're balancing what's good for you personally versus what's good for the team, especially when you feel like you're being slighted. And when I say that is Emmanuel Ogaba has been a very good pass rusher throughout his career, multiple different schemes. But for whatever reason, it has not gelled with him and Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio does not have a great love of Emmanuel Ogaba playing in his scheme. And you've seen time and time again that he's elevated players over Ogaba. And so I would say a lot of players would have said before the deadline, I want to trade. Get me out of here. I demand a trade. Get me out of here. Send me somewhere where people like me, where I can play. I don't have to deal with any of this stuff. But I think he made a very conscious and professional decision that the team is winning. And if I do this and don't get traded, I'm going to be a huge distraction the rest of the season. And it's going to make things worse for everyone. And so I just got to deal with it. And maybe if I keep playing well in my limited snaps, maybe if I keep practicing well, then eventually Vic will figure out a role for me. And whether he wanted to or not, the opportunities come because they've run out of pass rushers. And it's almost like you're forced to play him because of the situation. And I think this is such a cool opportunity for Emmanuel because, as you mentioned, every time he's been out on the field, you've seen him get pass rush. Now, I get some of Vic and Dolphins' hesitation. Maybe he's not the best guy to drop back in coverage. Okay, fair. But the reality is the good coaches, the great coaches, use what's best for their personnel rather than fit players into a box. And if Mayo's not good at dropping as a linebacker in coverage, then don't drop him in coverage. Maybe I'm looking at it very simplistic, but just let him go after the passer. Let him do what he is good at. And so I think that you're looking at a situation where, we asked Mike McDaniel earlier this week about Ogba, and he mentioned the hamstring lingering. I think that's a situation where the player believes he's healthy. The team is holding him back maybe it's for injury, maybe it's for another reason. But, Ogba told me he was healthy a week ago, and so it's a situation where I think it's more of the scheme in the situation rather than, some injury holding him back. But we look at it this weekend, they're going to need him because no Jalen Phillips, no Bradley Chubb. You've got a monster and Josh Allen back there that you have to get down on the field. And I don't think they're going to all of a sudden become this heavy blitz team. I think they're going to play a lot of what they need, and they're going to need a monster game from Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Emmanuel Ogba to be able to affect Josh Allen. And I think there's a decent chance, man. One thing that I think a lot of Dolphins fans are going to realize on Sunday is the Bills have a pretty decent offensive line. And they have an offensive line that, unlike the Dolphins, has played together every single game. It's like a rarity. They're playing their 17th game together combined. And so they have a continuity, a relationship with one another. And so you're going to have an elite game to be able to disrupt them, to be able to get pressure on Josh Allen, to get him uncomfortable, and for him to make a lot of those turnovers he makes when he's trying to be too much of Superman.
While I think it's all about bad luck, to be quite honest, what do you tell the people that keep saying, well, how come the Dolphins keep breaking down every year and they have all these injuries every year? What is it with their training staff? And a lot of people are bringing that up because this storyline has been very common for the Dolphins over the years, that they suffer a lot of injuries down the stretch. Again, Chubb was, you look at it, that had nothing to do with the trainer, to be quite honest. But, people are going to look at it. So I think it's bad luck. But what do you say?
I think that you have to overcome certain things to be able to get to the level of consistent winning. And when I say that, it's like the Dolphins have been on the teetering of a good team for the last 2 or 3 years. But there's a big jump from being a good playoff contending team to being a true championship contending team. And I think they've tried to flirt a couple times with this year, but it's hard. And I think that the Dolphins have a tendency of, when things go wrong, they snowball. And last year it was in the form of losing streaks. They went on 3-game losing streaks and 4-game, 5-game losing streaks, I think was the last one, when things went wrong. This year, McDaniel's done a good job of snipping at the bud the losing streaks, but they've sort of funneled into like ugly losses, right? Like when things like start to slow down
and against the better team.
It's like once things start to go bad in a particular game against a good team, then it starts to get out of hand. The Bills game, you look at, to a lesser extent, the Eagles and Chiefs game, and then this past game against Baltimore. The best 4 teams you played this season, all 4 of them at some point you felt the rope slip away, and then everything went for naught. And so they've got to reach those moments and realize, hey, we can do it. And this week is so interesting because I know Dolphins fans are tired of hearing about how good Josh Allen and the Bills have been against the Dolphins. Like, they're tired of hearing of it, and I get it. But it's the truth. And this presents another opportunity of, this is a team that's coming out and going to look at you the field and smirk at you and say, you know what's going to happen. We've seen this movie before. You guys are going to come out, maybe score a touchdown in the opening drive. We're going to punch back, and then you're going to realize, oh, crap, this is happening again, and then we're going to win the game. And at some point, the Dolphins got to say, no, that we're going to rewrite our story. This is not how it's always going to end. And whether it happens Sunday or not, we'll see. But right now, I think the Bills are favorites in this game as road favorites because of their dominance and the psychological factor of that, and the trust of the Bills in big games versus the Dolphins' trust in big games. Yes, the injuries play a factor, but I think even if Chubb wasn't out, even if Howard wasn't out, I still think the Bills would be favorites because we have seen the Bills consistently beat the Dolphins in these games, and we've seen the Bills consistently win, at least in the regular season, these games that matter, and we haven't seen the Dolphins do that yet. And so this is their chance, but I don't think the Dolphins can be mad that people right now are going to wait and see them do it because of how much we've seen this snowball effect.
Well, okay, here's my issue. And I can't get away from it, unfortunately. So I'm looking at an injury-depleted team. I'm watching Tyreek in a boot, Achan in a boot, and Mostert can't practice.
Yep.
So your 3 most explosive players are not even close to 100%. Your other explosive player will not play in Waddle. And I'm also and Mike McDaniel, unfortunately, has not had any Spo-like moments.
Yep.
Where his team is underman and all that, and he overcomes things like that's not what they do, unfortunately, under him. So how do I expect this to be a win? In fact, I think it's actually almost an impossible task. Of course, anyone can win on any given Sunday.
Yep.
But injured as they are, and as injured as your best players are, that's a really tough task and a tall task to ask Mike McDaniel and this team to actually win this game.
Here's what I would say to that. Yes, the injuries are going to be tough to overcome, but I am always of the belief, and trust me, it's definitely heavily shifted to the Dolphins side of this. The Bills don't have many, if any, significant injuries to worry about. Matt Milano's out, but he's been out for a while. The rest of those guys are pretty much good to go. I would say that I don't like using the injuries as a bridge, as a reason, because of the season of everyone's dealing with them. I will say this. This is what I view the game as. People ask me, what's the matchup that's going to define it? I say this is the game why you hire Vic Fangio. You paid him to be the highest paid defensive coordinator in football. You paid him to change things in your defensive scheme. This has to be the Vic Fangio game. It doesn't matter what you've done the first 16 games of the season. You're a borderline top 10 unit who struggled against great teams. This is the Vic Fangio game. This is where you justify the money, the commitment, the why you hire Vic Fangio. When you're down a little bit in personnel against a team that has your number, what scheme, what game plan do you have to offset it? You need a Vic Fangio masterpiece this weekend where he does something that confuses Josh Allen, that he has not seen before, that gets his defense and whoever they have on the field in a position where they can have success and keep Josh Allen to, let's say, 24 points. I think that's enough. If you can say, hey, if you can guarantee me today you're going to hold Josh Allen to 24 points, the Josh Allen and the Bills, I would take it and say, I think the Dolphins offense can score 25. But if they can't, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to be able to win this a 30, 40-point shootout game. They need to get to the mid-20s, high 20s. I can see them doing it. But you're going to need a Vic Fangio special to come up, and we shall see.
How do you get a Vic Fangio special when your safety with the two knees really isn't himself yet?
Yep.
X is out.
Yep.
Your second round pick can't find a way on the field, and you really, but you can tell me we're going to go with Eli Apple. Don't tell me you trust Eli Apple. Your two pass rushers are out for the year. While Wilkins has had a good season, he doesn't really produce against the big games. In the big games, he doesn't get sacks, actually. Yeah. He gets all his sacks against bad teams. Sealer, actually, like last week, he steps up, actually. So he's got a lot of things that are lacking on this team right now. Kohu has not had a good year. Kohu, for me personally, I think Kohu has to figure out, he's so physical, he has to learn not to be as physical while keeping his physicality. But in coverage, he has to learn not to be so damn handsy, one way or another. But I just look at a lot of the things that are going on with that defense, and I don't know if Fangio has what. I mean, dude, they looked lost last week.
They did. They did. Miscommunication was a big issue.
Wide open.
Yep.
Wide open. I mean,
I talked to a couple guys in the locker room, and their consensus was everybody's eyes were the issue. Everybody's eyes got full, and that's a troublesome issue to have in Week 17. I think the Baltimore Ravens did a good job of giving them their own medicine, giving them a lot of eye candy, a lot of motion, a lot of people crossing the field. What has been a big struggle for this Dolphins defense playing so much zone has been passing off routes in zone coverage, where a guy's crossing your zone into another zone. Whose responsibility is it? And a lot of those plays were like a hesitation, like maybe it's Duke Riley or Deshaun Elliott or Eli Apple making a hesitation of, wait, is that my guy? Is that your guy? Whose zone is this? And they're doing this in play. And all you need is that split second of your eyes get distracted. You hesitate, you miscommunicate, and guys are gone. That the help that comes with that is maybe Jerome Baker comes back. If he is able to come back, maybe he helps the communication portion,
But
which
we're also asking Jerome Baker to
on
come
his first
back.
game back from the injury. Yes, I understand. And that's why I think more than anything, and hopefully another week of Javon Holland coming off those knees, your hope is that your guys who lead the defense, your signal callers, your green dot, which is what Baker is and Duke Riley's been, Javon Holland's been the secondary communicator in that respect. The guys who lead you in the vocal element, the communication element, those guys can lift up and take whatever's coming out. Like I think we in the media and even fans kind of obsess about the will Jalen Ramsey shadow Stephon Diggs? And it's a question again this week, right? Like, will he shadow him? Will he out? I think that I just want to see them have a plan of something different. Of course, it's the easy thing to say shadow, and I would love to see it. But maybe for whatever reason, Vic does not think that's the best plan. He's getting paid millions of dollars. If he has a better plan, then let's see it. I am fine with that. I just do not want to see the old, this is what we do. We're going to line up our three guys. They're going to stay on their side 100% of the time, and we're going to play what we do and see if it works. Baltimore just exposed the issues with that. You have no pass rush going on without Chubb and Jalen Phillips. It is time to try something different. I get it. You cannot rewrite your whole defense in 1 week, but he's hinted sometimes at a new special package this offseason that he has. This will be the time to show whatever special package you got. This would be the time to show whatever you've been cooking in your sabbatical. This is the time. I don't know what it is. I'm not a defense coordinator. I do not get paid millions of dollars to run the Dolphins defense. But if there is ever a time to figure out the plan or put out the plan to hide these warts, it is now.
Well, you better. Does he trust them to run the plan? That's the problem too. He doesn't trust you.
Yeah.
Look at Cam Smith.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't trust Cam Smith at all, and that's why Cam Smith can't find the light of day. Because he must be lost absolutely, and his head must be spinning.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. I think that trust is a big part of it. This defense is complex, and the guys have talked about it a lot about how complex the defense is. But at some point, you got to feel it click, and it did feel like midseason that it clicked. But for whatever reason, in Baltimore, whatever clicked went out the door. Whatever they thought they figured out, they forgot or changed or something. And so I think it's on Vic Fangio to figure it out. And maybe it's the other way. Like, I think I'm talking about creating something new to confuse the Bills. But maybe it's your point. Maybe it's the fact that everybody is so confused and you just got to simplify. Maybe you got to go the other way. Maybe you got to say, hey, your job is to rush the passer. Your job is to sit here in this zone and make it real simple. And at worst, everybody's going to be where they're supposed to be. Everybody's going to know the right assignment. It may not maximize your ability to get takeaways and do all this, but you're going to know guys are at the right spot if you simplify. I think something's got to change between what they're calling scheme-wise over the next week to whatever the players are running, because we just saw Baltimore destroy them, and I'm not sure that running the same plan is going to work any better.
You expect them to shadow Diggs with Ramsey?
I think they will in some capacity. That's my kind of educated guess, not any reporting for certain, but I do think you'll see him move around with Diggs, maybe in situations
like he did in that one game.
In that Jets game. He didn't do 100% shadowing, but definitely on third downs, definitely on key situations, definitely on gotta have it moments.
It was like 15 plays or something.
Yes.
It wasn't a ton.
Yes, it wasn't like every single play, because the reality of it is you don't want Ramsey running across the field every single play. But there's going to be plays that matter. There's going to be the ones where you see the Bills trying to line up Diggs on Eli Apple or Kader Kohou. Those are the ones you want Ramsey on. The ones they're trying to find your other guys, that's the ones.
In Vic's brutal honesty to you guys, because I watch all the press conferences, he told you guys that you got to keep them guessing. You got to keep them off balance. So he basically told you, no, we're not going to do the same thing all the time. We're going to change things up constantly. He's going to, and that's kind of what they do. That's kind of his defense, actually, in a way.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where you've had all these injuries and you don't have a lot of continuity, and it just kind of breaks up the continuity. That's why what's happened on the offensive line has been a marvel, because they've had so many injuries. So you've had no continuity, but to still rush the ball the way you've been able to run it and protect Tua. And Tua's done a marvelous job of complementing the line, a lot like Marino did back in the day. That, you know, the line was, the line was good, but it was Marino getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds that helped you out and why you had less sacks. You know what I mean? Yeah, we know Richmond Webb and Keith Sims are great, but it was also that Marino, you know, the radar made a decision really quick, you know, those kind of things. So to me, that's the problem with Vic, that it's hard for him when he doesn't have that kind of continuity.
Right. Got you.
Yeah. All right. What's the prediction? I don't have them winning, bro, by the way. It's the first time I'm picking against them this year. I haven't picked against the Dolphins.
I think they're going to come out with a lot of fight, but right now I think there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of issues on the defensive side of the ball that I'm worried about. I think they lose a close game.
Yeah, me too. I think they lose, unfortunately, because I just think they have way too much to overcome. And I have not seen this coach be that guy that overcomes all that kind of adversity. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? He's just not that guy yet. Hopefully he'll get it. What do you got going on in the NFL Network so folks can check it out?
Yeah, I'll be on the Insiders today from 12 to 1. Talk a little ball, Dolphins, Bills. That's the game I'm at this weekend, Sunday. So you'll see me there Sunday for NFL Game Day morning from 9 to 1 on NFL Network. And I'll also be on Total Access tonight from 7 to 8. So you'll get a full day of me today and on Sunday talking Dolphins, Bills for sure.
Check you out definitely today on the platform. As always, Cam, appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and let's hope we enjoy Sunday night.
We'll see.
You got it, baby. Thank you. KSDT CPAs, they can help your personal life, your business life. And those of you, hey, we just started the year. This is a great time to reach out to KSDT CPA for your business, to start getting that guidance all the way throughout the year and getting ready for the taxes and payroll and accounting and everything else that you've got to do and planning ahead. This is going to be a very interesting year, as it's an election year. So things are going to happen in the economy, and you want to know how to take advantage of it. The people at KSDT can tell you, can help you out, because they're looking. They plan ahead for a lot of businesses. They can help yours. Please give them a ring, 305-670-3370. And if you're looking for work, they've got offices in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, and they opened up an office in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you live in any of these areas and you're looking for work, reach out to the great people at KSDT CPAs. 1 hour down. Hour number 2 is next, and we start it with Manny Navarro. The Canes can't find a damn QB. Hour 2 is next.